Hey everyone, a question a lot of people have is how much vocal reverb should I have in my mix? And this also goes for vocal delay effects as well. Now, there's no right or wrong answer for that, but I will say in most modern mixes, what you do is you adjust the amount so that you just hear it, and when you mute it or when you bypass it, that effect goes away. But you don't want to be able to hear the actual effect unless it's going for a specific, like an old 80s effect or from the 70s where you want to hear the reverb for some kind of purpose like that. But typically in modern productions, you lower the reverb amount until you're just hearing it. So you need to hear it within the context of the mix. And that's why a lot of times I'm still adjusting the reverb amount when I'm pretty much finished with everything else. And actually, one of the things that I suggested in one of the videos is that you do all of your EQing and compression before you add your reverb effects, because it helps you blend everything together better, because you're not having the reverb cloud up your decision making. As an example, one of the mistakes people make when they first start mixing is you have this really lovely sounding reverb, and I'll solo this.
A long night, now my voice is growing thin. You all look so stoned. Yeah, the next group wears an
R2 is not a cheap plugin, but it's a lovely sounding reverb. And, I want to use my reverb. I spent so much money on it. Back in the day in the 80s when effect reverb was huge, because now you were able to get this reverb sound without having a reverb chamber or a plate room. You were able to get it inside of a box that sat on a tabletop. And these units cost thousands of dollars. They weren't cheap either. So they were used. If the studio was going to pay for it, or if the record label hired a studio or rented a studio that had this effect, they wanted to hear that reverb. So that's that's one of the reasons why a lot of 80s records have reverb all over the place, because they were finally able to do this on the cheap. And a lot of people had that ability. And again, like I said, this is a lovely effect. And if you are new to reverb, you're going to be like, oh man, that sounds so pro. It does sound cool, but let's put this back on the entire mix, just the vocals.
In a long night, now my voice is growing thin. You all look so stoned. Yeah, the next group wears an eager grin. Please listen one last time, the song's about to begin. As my voice croons and travels off with the restless wind.
Now, this song does have a guitar in it, so again, you need to adjust this within the context of the mix, so when all the other instruments are playing. But that's really the answer for modern productions. That's the answer. Now, of course, you adjust the reverb time and a bunch of other parameters to go along with that to affect how much you can hear the reverb and the quality of it and all that good stuff. But what I'm going to do in the future, and I'm making this to go along with, to be a companion to these other videos where I'm going to take commercial mixes, and you're going to be able to hear how they treated the vocals with reverb, a bunch of different examples in one video. where I just basically play the examples, and hopefully YouTube doesn't take that video down. That's why I'm making this one. But you'll see the different effects that people put on vocals, and delay is used a lot more than you think versus reverb, for a variety of reasons. But if you're specifically talking about reverb, this is what I recommend, and that's that, again, just enough that you can hear it, but not so much that you hear too much of it. This has been Adam for RealHomeRecording.com.